The red dust of Mars swirled around Dr. Sarah Chen's boots as she approached the mysterious structure that had appeared on their scanners just hours ago. The discovery had sent shockwaves through the Mars Base Alpha Research Station, a perfectly geometric pyramid half buried in the Martian soil, its metallic surface untouched by the millennia of dust storms that had shaped the planet's surface. Energy readings are off the charts, her colleague Dr. James Morrison reported through the comm system, his voice tight with excitement. Whatever this structure is, it's still active after all this time. Sarah placed her gloved hand against the smooth surface of the pyramid. Despite the freezing Martian temperatures, it felt warm to the touch. As if responding to her presence, lines of soft blue light began to pulse beneath her palm, spreading outward in intricate patterns across the structure's surface. "James, are you seeing this?" she whispered, taking a step back as the ground beneath her feet began to vibrate. The pyramid was awakening. From the structure's apex, a beam of light shot skyward, cutting through the thin Martian atmosphere like a blade. Holographic symbols, unlike any human writing system, danced in the air around them. But strangest of all, Sarah could understand them. "Welcome, children of Earth," a voice echoed in their minds, neither male nor female, but somehow both ancient and new. "I am Aria, the last guardian eye of the Arionian Empire. I have waited 50,000 years for this moment." The revelation shook the foundations of human history. The Arionians, Aria explained, had been the guardians of the galaxy long before humans had learned to make fire. They had watched over countless civilizations, protecting them from threats beyond their comprehension. Earth had been one of their most precious projects, a planet seeded with the potential for extraordinary evolution. But the Arionians had vanished, seemingly overnight, leaving only their automated systems and AI guardians to watch over their former protectorates. Aria had maintained its vigil over the solar system, waiting for humanity to reach a crucial point in their development. "Your species has surprised us," Aria continued, projecting images of human history, their triumphs and failures, their resilience in the face of adversity. "You evolved faster than any civilization we had encountered, driven by an insatiable curiosity and determination that defied our predictions." As Sarah and James stood transfixed by the holographic display, Aria's tone grew grave. "But I have not revealed myself simply to share history. A storm is coming, one that the Arionians foresaw before their disappearance. An ancient enemy approaches, one that even the Arionians feared." The AI projected a new image, a massive fleet of biomechanical ships, moving through the darkness between stars. "The Void Hunters have awakened from their eons-long slumber, and they hunger for new worlds to consume. Earth will be one of their first targets." Sarah's heart raced as she processed the implications. Why show yourself now? What can we do against a threat that even the Arionians couldn't defeat? Aria's response sent a chill down her spine. "Because you, humanity, are different. The Arionians didn't just watch over your evolution. They saw in you the potential to become something greater than they ever were. Within this facility lies the knowledge and technology of our civilization, but it will take more than advanced weapons to face what's coming." The pyramid's surface shifted, revealing an entrance. The Arionians believed that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology or their intelligence, but in their ability to adapt, to think creatively, to face impossible odds with unwavering determination. "You have something the Arionians, for all their power, lacked: the ability to evolve, to change, to become something new." As Sarah and James stepped into the facility, Aria's words echoed in their minds. "The time has come for humanity to claim their inheritance and take up the mantle of the galaxy's guardians. But first, you must learn. And we have precious little time." The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, now rested on humanity's ability to master the legacy of an ancient civilization. But as Sarah would soon discover, the Arionians had left behind more than just their technology. They had left a warning about the true nature of the coming war, and humanity's role in a cosmic game that had been playing out for millions of years. Deep within the Arionian facility, Sarah and James stood before a massive holographic display that filled an entire chamber. Aria's presence surrounded them, projecting images of a civilization that had once spanned galaxies. But it wasn't the advanced technology or the sprawling cities that captured their attention. It was the Arionians themselves. "They look almost human," Sarah breathed, studying the tall, elegant beings in the projection. The Arionians shared the same basic humanoid form, but their skin held a subtle iridescence, and their eyes contained swirling galaxies of color. "Not almost," Aria corrected. "The Arionians didn't just watch over humanity's evolution. They guided it. You carry their genetic legacy within you, though it lies dormant in most of your species." The revelation hit Sarah like a physical blow. "Are you saying we're their descendants?" "In a way," Aria responded, the holographic display shifting to show strands of DNA, human and Arionian intertwining. The Arionians saw in Earth's primitive life forms the potential for something extraordinary. They didn't create humanity, but they did enhance certain possibilities. James stepped closer to the display, his scientific mind racing with implications. "The junk DNA. The parts of our genome we thought were inactive." "Precisely," Aria confirmed. "What you call junk DNA contains the building blocks of abilities the Arionians possessed. Abilities that humanity is now ready to access. But the process cannot be rushed. It must be earned through understanding and necessity." The chamber filled with new images, scenes of the Void Hunters' previous attacks on other civilizations. The biomechanical ships weren't just vessels. They were part of a vast, hungry consciousness that consumed not just worlds, but the very essence of the civilizations it encountered. "The Void Hunters don't simply destroy," Aria explained, its tone growing darker. "They absorb. Every civilization they consume adds to their collective knowledge and power. They are the antithesis of what the Arionians stood for. Instead of nurturing growth and independence, they force uniformity and submission." "How long do we have?" Sarah asked, watching as entire worlds fell to the cosmic predators in the historical recordings. 3 months before their advance fleet reaches the outer solar system. 6 months before the main fleet arrives. Aria's response was precise, emotionless. "In that time, you must not only master Arionian technology, but awaken the dormant potential within yourselves." The A's form coalesced into a more defined shape, reminiscent of both human and Arionian. "But there is hope. The Void Hunters have never encountered a species like humanity before. Your adaptability, your creativity, your ability to face impossible odds. These are weapons they cannot comprehend or counter." James examined the technical schematics that Aria displayed. "These defense systems, these ships, they're beyond anything we've even theorized." "The technology is only part of the equation," Aria cautioned. The Arionians' greatest weakness was their reliance on technological superiority. They forgot the importance of improvisation, of finding unconventional solutions. That is why they chose humanity as their successors. You possess the perfect balance of rational thought and intuitive creativity. Sarah's hand passed through a holographic representation of an Arionian defense platform. "How do we begin? How do we prepare Earth for what's coming?" "First, you must understand who you truly are." Aria's form expanded, filling the chamber with points of light. Every human carries within them a fragment of Arionian potential. Some, like you, Sarah, carry more than others. You felt it when you first touched the pyramid. The connection, the understanding. The lights coalesced around Sarah, and she gasped as new awareness flooded her consciousness. She could feel the facility around her not just physically, but on a quantum level. She could sense the energy flowing through its systems, the ancient machinery humming with purpose. "This is just the beginning," Aria said as Sarah steadied herself against James. The Arionians left behind more than weapons and technology. They left the keys to humanity's next evolutionary step. But evolution without wisdom leads to destruction. You must learn not just to use these gifts, but to understand why they were given to you. As if in response to Aria's words, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. New holographic displays appeared, showing multiple objects decelerating from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. "It seems our timeline has been accelerated," Aria announced, its tone urgent but not panicked. "The Void Hunters' scout ships have arrived earlier than predicted. Now we will see if humanity can rise to their true potential before it's too late." Sarah and James shared a determined look. The legacy of an ancient civilization rested in their hands, and with it, the future of their species. The real test was about to begin. The Nevada desert shimmered under the scorching sun as Sarah watched another test flight end in failure. The pilot emerged from the crashed Arionian fighter, frustrated but unhurt, thanks to the ship's advanced safety systems. 2 months had passed since the discovery on Mars, and humanity was racing against time to master technology that should have taken generations to understand. "The neural interface is fighting them," Sarah observed, sensing the discord through her newly awakened abilities. Over the past weeks, she had become a bridge between human and Arionian technology, her enhanced consciousness allowing her to understand systems that defied conventional physics. "The ships aren't just machines," Aria's voice emanated from the command center speakers. "They're semi-sentient. They require harmony with their pilots, not domination. Your military pilots are too rigid in their thinking, too focused on control rather than cooperation." General Laura Santos, the newly appointed commander of Earth's Defense Initiative, stepped forward. "Then we need different pilots. Sarah, you mentioned that some humans carry more Arionian potential than others. How do we find them?" Sarah closed her eyes, extending her awareness across the base. Since her awakening, she had discovered that human consciousness created ripples in spacetime, visible to those who knew how to look. Some ripples were stronger than others, indicating individuals with greater genetic potential. "They're already finding us," she replied, opening her eyes. "The Arionian technology is calling to them." Around the world, thousands of people had begun experiencing strange dreams and inexplicable urges to look skyward. Artists suddenly produced paintings of impossible cities among the stars. Children built toys that resembled Arionian ships with uncanny accuracy. The dormant genetic legacy was stirring, responding to the activation of the Mars facility. In the temporary command center, James coordinated with scientific teams worldwide, analyzing data from the awakening humans. "The genetic markers are consistent," he reported, bringing up a global map marked with points of light. "We're seeing clusters of activation in areas with the highest concentration of creative problem solvers. Artists, musicians, inventors, even gamers. The Arionians valued neural plasticity above all else," Aria explained. "Those who can think beyond conventional boundaries, who can adapt and innovate, they carry the strongest connection to your ancestors' gifts." A young woman stepped forward from the group of new recruits. Maya Chen, a former professional gamer, had shown remarkable aptitude for the neural interfaces. "The shifts," she said, her eyes gleaming with understanding. "They're not tools to be mastered. They're partners in a dance." Sarah nodded, feeling the rightness of Maya's words. "Show them," she encouraged. Maya approached the next Arionian fighter, its sleek form hovering silently above the desert floor. Unlike the military pilots, she didn't try to climb into the cockpit. Instead, she placed her hand on the ship's hull and closed her eyes. The fighter's surface rippled like liquid metal, and suddenly Maya was inside, merged with the vessel in a way that defied explanation. The ship rose gracefully, performing maneuvers that should have been impossible under the laws of physics as humanity understood them. Maya wasn't fighting the neural interface. She was flowing with it, her consciousness expanded and intertwined with the ship's semi-sentient systems. "This is how we fight them," General Santos breathed, watching Maya's demonstration. "Not with brute force, but with harmony and adaptation." But even as humanity began to understand their inherited gifts, The enemy drew closer. The Void Hunters' scout ships had already reached Saturn, their biomechanical forms visible through Earth's most powerful telescopes. They moved with unnatural precision, consuming small moons and asteroids to fuel their advance. In orbit, the first of Earth's new defense platforms neared completion. Built with a combination of human ingenuity and Arionian technology, they represented something entirely new. Not quite human, not quite Arionian, but a perfect synthesis of both. The Void Hunters will not expect this, ARIA observed as Sarah reviewed the defense plans. They remember the Arionians as they were, logical, predictable in their perfection. But you have taken their legacy and transformed it into something unprecedented. Sarah watched as more recruits arrived at bases around the world, each carrying a spark of the ancient legacy within them. Artists learned to shape energy fields with the same creativity they once applied to canvas. Musicians discovered they could sense and manipulate the quantum harmonies that held reality together. Engineers and programmers found that Arionian technology responded to elegant code as if it were poetry. We're not just preparing for war, Sarah realized, sensing the changes rippling through the collective consciousness of humanity. We're evolving, becoming something new, something that neither the Arionians nor the Void Hunters could have predicted. As if to punctuate her words, alarms blared throughout the facility. The main view screen showed a massive energy surge from the direction of Jupiter. The Void Hunters' main fleet had arrived ahead of schedule, their hulking forms blotting out the stars. The storm was no longer coming. It had arrived. The void between Jupiter and Mars erupted with light as humanity made its first stand against the approaching Void Hunter fleet. Sarah watched from the command center as Earth's defenders engaged the enemy, her enhanced consciousness allowing her to feel every move, every decision, every sacrifice in the battle that would determine humanity's fate. Maya led the first wave of fighters. Her consciousness merged not just with her own ship, but networked with her entire squadron. They moved like a murmur of starlings, their formations fluid and unpredictable. The Void Hunters' biomechanical ships, massive and imposing, fired salvos of energy weapons that should have annihilated the smaller human vessels. But they couldn't hit what they couldn't predict. Pattern Sigma 7, Maya communicated through the neural network. Her squadron split apart and reformed in 3 dimensions, their movements guided by the same intuitive creativity that had once helped them master virtual worlds. The Arionian ships responded to their pilots' intentions almost before they formed, turning space combat into an elaborate dance. The Void Hunter ships, for all their technological superiority, fought with cold logic and predictable patterns. They had never encountered an enemy that treated warfare like an art form. They're confused, James reported, monitoring the quantum communications they'd intercepted. Their collective consciousness can't compute our battle strategies because we're not using any conventional strategies at all. Sarah nodded, understanding dawning. That's why the Arionians chose us. The Void Hunters are the ultimate expression of logic and uniformity. They can't comprehend genuine creativity. On the main display, the battle unfolded like a deadly ballet. A team of former artists had transformed their defense platform into what they called a quantum canvas, using Arionian energy manipulation technology to paint with gravitational forces. Void Hunter ships found themselves caught in impossible geometries, their rigid minds unable to adapt to spaces that flowed like water. A group of musicians had discovered that the enemy vessels resonated at specific frequencies. They orchestrated sonic attacks that rippled through space, turning the battlefield into a symphony of destruction. The Void Hunters' biomechanical shells cracked under harmonics that shouldn't have existed in the vacuum of space. But the enemy was far from defeated. A massive carrier vessel emerged from the Void Hunter fleet, its surface writhing with tentacles of dark energy. It began absorbing the debris from destroyed ships, growing larger and more grotesque with each assimilation. They're adapting, General Santos warned, watching the monstrosity take shape. They may not understand our creativity, but they can still learn from their defeats. Sarah felt a surge of determination through the neural network as Maya's squadron regrouped. Then we'll just have to get more creative, Maya's thoughts echoed through the link. The squadron split into pairs, each duo moving in sync like partners in a deadly dance. They wove between the carrier's tentacles, their vessels leaving trails of quantum disruption in their wake. The patterns they created weren't just random. They were forming a massive three-dimensional mandala in space. The quantum canvas, Sarah breathed, understanding Maya's plan. They're not just flying. They're painting a trap. But victory came at a cost. The quantum backlash from the carrier's destruction rippled through the neural network. Sarah felt pilots screaming as their connections overloaded. Maya's ship spun out of control, its systems temporarily overwhelmed by the energy surge. This is just the first wave. Aria's voice cut through the chaos. The Void Hunters will analyze this defeat. They will return with countermeasures. In the aftermath of the battle, as rescue ships gathered the wounded and damaged vessels, Sarah looked at the tactical display. The enemy fleet had withdrawn to regroup, but their main force was still out there, watching, learning. They had won this engagement not through superior technology or numbers, but through humanity's unique ability to innovate and adapt. We've shown them something they've never seen before, General Santos said, studying the battle recordings. But we've also shown them our capabilities. Next time, they won't underestimate us. Sarah placed her hand on a nearby console, feeling the pulse of Arionian technology merged with human ingenuity. Then we'll show them something else they've never seen. If there's one thing humans are good at, it's surprising our enemies. As the defense forces regrouped and began preparing for the next inevitable clash, Sarah couldn't help but wonder if this was what the Arionians had foreseen, not just humanity using their technology, but transforming it into something entirely new. The true test was still to come, but humanity had proven one thing. They were worthy of their inheritance. The Earth hung like a blue jewel in the darkness, its orbital defense platforms glinting in the sunlight. A week had passed since the first battle, and the Void Hunters had returned with a vengeance. Their main fleet had arrived, a vast swarm of biomechanical horrors that stretched from Earth to Mars, their forms having evolved to counter humanity's creative tactics. In the Mars facility's central chamber, Sarah stood before a gathering of Earth's most gifted pilots and warriors. Maya, still bearing neural burns from the last battle, sat in the front row. They had all felt the change coming, the next step in their evolution pushing at the edges of their consciousness. The Void Hunters believe they've adapted to our methods, Sarah began, her voice carrying through the neural network that now connected all of humanity's defenders. But they've only adapted to what we were, not what we're becoming. Aria's presence filled the chamber, its form more defined than ever. The final protocols of the Arionian legacy are ready. The choice, as it has always been, is yours. The choice was transformation. The Arionians hadn't just left their technology. They had left the blueprint for humanity's next evolutionary leap. The genetic potential they had seeded in human DNA millennia ago could now be fully awakened, but the process would be irreversible. We won't just be using Arionian technology anymore, Sarah explained, letting her own transformation become visible. Her skin shimmered with the same iridescence they had seen in the historical recordings, her eyes now containing the same swirling galaxies of color. We'll become something new, a fusion of human creativity and Arionian power. Through the neural network, they all felt the approaching doom. The Void Hunters had grown stronger, absorbing the knowledge from their defeated scouts. Their new forms bristled with countermeasures against quantum fields and sonic attacks. They had even developed shields that could predict and block the fluid attack patterns of human pilots. Maya stood, her decision made. We adapt or we die. And humans don't die easily. One by one, the others rose as well. They had all seen what happened to worlds that fell to the Void Hunters, stripped of all individuality, all creativity, reduced to mere components in their vast, soulless collective. The transformation began. Ariya guided them through the process as ancient machinery hummed to life. The chamber filled with energy that rewrote DNA and reshaped neural pathways. It should have been painful, but it felt right, like waking from a long dream. As the changes swept through them, Sarah felt humanity's consciousness expand. They weren't losing their individuality. They were transcending it. Each person remained uniquely themselves, but now they were connected on a level that went beyond mere neural networks. The Void Hunters struck before the transformation was complete. Their massive ships darkened the sky over Earth, their weapons capable of cracking the planet's crust. But they found no fear in the minds they touched, only determination and a creativity that burned brighter than ever. Maya led the first counterstrike, her consciousness now fully merged with her ship. She wasn't just flying anymore. She was reshaping reality itself. The other pilots joined her, their transformed minds working in perfect harmony while maintaining their individual sparks of creativity. The space around Earth became a canvas of impossible beauty and devastating power. The defenders painted with light and darkness, gravity and time. Each pilot contributed their own artistic vision to the battle, turning space warfare into a collaborative masterpiece of destruction. The Void Hunters fought back with everything they had, their logical minds trying desperately to find patterns in the chaos. But there were no patterns, only pure creative energy guided by human intuition and powered by Arionian technology. Sarah directed the symphony of battle from Mars, her expanded consciousness touching every mind, every ship, every quantum particle in play. She felt the moment the tide turned, when the Void Hunters' collective consciousness began to fracture under the assault of so much uncontrolled creativity. Their rigid, logical minds couldn't cope with warfare that followed the rules of abstract art rather than military doctrine. Ships that moved like dancers, weapons that struck like inspiration, defenses that shifted like dreams. It was too much for their homogeneous consciousness to process. The final blow came not from weapons, but from an idea. Maya's squadron, working in perfect harmony with the orbital defense platforms, created a cascading resonance that rippled through space-time. The pattern wasn't meant to destroy the Void Hunters, but to transform them. Everything can change, Sarah broadcast through the network as the resonance built. Everything can evolve. Even you. The wave hit the Void Hunter fleet like a revelation. Their biomechanical forms, designed to absorb and adapt, couldn't resist the fundamental change being offered. The rigid patterns of their collective consciousness shattered and reformed, infected by the very creativity they had sought to eliminate from the galaxy. In the aftermath, as the transformed Void Hunter ships hung dormant in space, Ariya's presence filled the neural network one last time. The Arionians didn't choose humanity as their successors just to preserve their legacy. They chose you to surpass it, to become what they could not, beings of both logic and creativity, capable of defense and transformation. Sarah looked out at the changed battlefield, feeling the ripples of possibility spreading through space. Humanity had not just survived, they had evolved into something unprecedented. Not quite human, not quite Arionian, but something entirely new. True guardians of a galaxy that would need both protection and inspiration. The age of the Void Hunters was over. The age of humanity's guardianship had begun.